Welcome back to SRC.
Today we will be reading The Land of Stories, The Wishing Spell by Chris Colfer.
And we'll be learning how to make simple friendship bracelets.
For our friendship bracelets, you're going to need at least 3 colors of embroidery thread. You're going to need a safety pin or some tape to help hold it down, and then some scissors. So to start off, you're going to want 3 pieces of string, 1 in each color, and make them around the same length. You're going to want to do it a bit longer than I did it here because I just did a small sample. You want to at least probably 2 arm lengths for each color. Now you have your 3 strands. You're going to want to fold them in half like this, and so there's a loop at the top. We're going to make a knot with this loop now, so you put it around your finger and then through the hole and pull, and you'll end up with a nice loop at the end here. And now you'll have 6 strands to be working with. So now you're going to want to secure it down to the table or to a clipboard, or you could safety pin it to your pants. We're using a safety pin. You can also use tape, whatever you have around. So now you're ready to start. You want to get your 2 colors, 2 colors, 2 colors all next to each other. So to start, we're going to do the knot. To do it, it looks kind of like a 4 shape. So you're going to pull the string kind of like a 4, and then the string is going to go underneath and through that loop that you just made. And then you pull it tight up to the top. And now it's really important that you do each knot on each thread twice. So you do the same knot on the same thread again before moving on to the next color. And now you're just moving on to the next string in line. So this one is yellow. So you do that 4 shape again, over it, under, and through. And then pull tight to the top. Now don't pull too tight, and again on the same thread before moving on to the next one. So now we finished the first row. You're going to want to just do the same thing again with the next thread. Starting at the beginning, you just do 2 knots on each string all the way across. So you just keep going until your bracelet is as long as you'd like it, or until you run out of string, and this will be the pattern that it looks like all the way down. And then when you're finished, you can either just tie a knot right off, or you can do a little braid with the 3 different colors like this. Once you're finished, just tie a knot at the end of the bracelet and then you're done. Once you get comfortable with this basic pattern, there are loads of different designs you can find online that use the same basic knot. This way you can make loads of different bracelets with different patterns, but using the same basic skill. This is what it looks like at the end.
Today we'll be reading The Land of Stories, The Wishing Spell by Chris Colfer and published by Little Brown and Company. Chapter 1, Once Upon a Time. Once upon a time, Mrs. Peters said to her 6th grade class, "These are the most magical words in our world has ever seen, and the gateway into the greatest stories ever told. They're an immediate calling to anyone who hears them, a calling into a world where everyone is welcome and anything can happen. Mice can become men, maids can become princesses, and they can teach valuable lessons in the process." Alex Bailey eagerly sat straight up in her seat. She usually enjoyed her teacher's lessons, but this was something especially close to her heart. "Fairy tales are much more than just silly bedtime stories," the teacher continued. "The solution to almost every problem imaginable can be found in the outcome of a fairy tale. Fairy tales are life lessons disguised with colorful characters and situations. The Boy Who Cried Wolf teaches us the value of good reputation and the power of honesty. Cinderella shows us the reward of having a good heart. The Ugly Duckling teaches us the meaning of inner beauty." Alex's eyes were wide. She nodded in agreement. She was a pretty girl with bright blue eyes and short strawberry blonde hair that was always kept neatly out of her face with a headband. The way other students stared at their teacher as if the lesson was being taught in another language was something Mrs. Peter had never grown accustomed to. So Mrs. Peter would often direct entire lessons to the front row where Alex sat. Mrs. Peter was a tall, thin woman who always wore dresses that resembled old patterned sofas. Her hair was dark and curly and sat perfectly on the top of her head like a hat, and her students often thought that it was. Through a pair of thick glasses, her eyes were permanently squinted from all the judgmental looks she had given her classes over the years. "Sadly, these timeless tales are no longer relevant in our society," Miss Peter said. "We have traded their brilliant teachings for small-minded entertainment like television and video games. Parents now let obnoxious cartoons and violent movies influence their children. The only exposure to the tales some children acquire are versions bastardized by film companies. Fairy tale adaptations are usually stripped of every moral and lesson the stories were originally intended to teach, and replaced with singing and dancing forest animals. I recently read that films are being created depicting Cinderella as a struggling hip-hop singer and Sleeping Beauty as a warrior princess battling zombies." "Awesome," a student behind Alex whispered to himself. Alex shook her head. Hearing this made her soul hurt. She tried to share her disapproval with her fellow classmates, but sadly, her concerns were not reciprocated. "I wonder if the world would be a different place if everyone knew these tales in the way that the brothers Grimm and Hans Christian Andersen intended them to be known," Mrs. Peters said. "I wonder if people would learn from the Little Mermaid's heartbreak when she dies at the end of her real story. I wonder if there would be so many kidnappings if children were shown the true dangers that Little Red Riding Hood faced. I wonder if delinquents would be so inclined to misbehave if they knew about the consequences Goldilocks caused for herself with the 3 bears. There is so much to learn and prevent for our futures if we just open our eyes to past teachings. Perhaps if we embraced fairy tales as much as we could, it would be much easier to find our own happily ever afters." If Alex had her way, Mrs. Peters would be rewarded with thunderous applause after each lesson she gave. Unfortunately, all that followed her classes was a mutual sigh of relief among the students, thankful that they were over. "Let's see how well you all know your fairy tales," the teacher said with a smile and began prancing around the room. "In Rumpelstiltskin, what was the young maiden's father tell the king that his daughter could spin hay into? Does anyone know?" Mrs. Peters scanned the classroom like a shark looking for a wounded fish. Only one student raised her hand. "Yes, Miss Bailey," Miss Peters called. "He claimed he could spin hay into gold," Alex said. "Very good, Mrs. Bailey." Mrs. Peters said, if she had a favorite student, not that she would ever admit to having one, Alex would have been it. Alex was always eager to please. She was the definition of a bookworm. It didn't matter what time of day it was, before school, during school, after school, before bed, she was always reading. She had a thirst for knowledge, and because of it, Alex was usually the first person to answer Miss Peters' questions. She tried her best to impress her classmates with every chance she got, putting extra effort into each book report and the class presentation she was assigned. However, this usually annoyed the other students, and Alex was often teased for it. She constantly heard other girls making fun of her behind her back. She usually spent lunch alone under a tree somewhere with an open library book. Although she would never tell anyone, Alex was so lonely that sometimes it hurt. Now, can anyone tell me the compromise that the maiden made with Rumpelstiltskin? Alex waited for a moment before putting her hand up. She didn't want to seem like a total teacher's pet. Yes, Miss Bailey. In exchange for turning the hay into gold, the maiden promised to give Rumpelstiltskin her firstborn child when she became queen, Alex explained. That's a pretty steep deal, said a boy behind Alex. What's a creepy old man want with a baby anyway, said the girl next to him. Obviously, he couldn't adopt with a name like Rumpelstiltskin, another student added. Did he eat the baby? Someone else said nervously. Alex turned around to face her clueless peers. You're all missing the point of the story, said Alex. Rumpelstiltskin took advantage of the maiden because she was in need. The story is about the price of a bad negotiation. What are we willing to give up in the long term in the future for something short term in the present? Get it? If Miss Peters could change her facial expression, she would have looked very proud. Nicely put, Miss Bailey, she said. I must say that in all my years of teaching, I've rarely come across a pupil with as much in-depth knowledge as. A loud snore suddenly came from the back of the classroom. A boy in the back row was slouched over on his desk and drooling from one corner of his mouth, very much asleep. Alex had a twin brother, and it was moments like these that made her wish she didn't. Mrs. Peters diverted her attention to him like a paperclip to a magnet. Mr. Bailey? Miss Peters asked. He continued to snore. Mr. Bailey? Miss Peters asked, kneeling down closer to him. He let out another enormous snore. A few other students wondered how it was possible for such a loud noise to come out of him. Mr. Bailey! Miss Peters shouted in his ear. As if someone had lit a firework under his seat, Connor Bailey jumped back to life, almost knocking his desk over. Where am I? What happened? Connor asked in the panicked state of confusion. His eyes darted around the room while his brain tried to remember where he was. Like his sister, he also had bright blue eyes and strawberry blonde hair. His face was round and freckled, and at the moment, slightly smushed to one side like a basset hound when it first wakes up from a nap. Alex couldn't have been more embarrassed by her brother. Besides sharing looks and a birth date, she and her brother couldn't have been more different. Connor may have had a lot of friends, but unlike his sister, he had trouble in school. Mostly trouble staying awake. So I'm glad that you could rejoin us, Mr. Bailey, Miss Peters said sternly. Did you have a nice nap? Connor turned bright red. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Peters, he apologized, trying to be as genuine as possible. Sometimes when you talk for long periods of time, I doze off. No offense, I can't help it. You fall asleep in my class at least twice a week, Mrs. Peters reminded him. Well, you do talk a lot. Before he could stop himself from saying it, Connor knew that it was the wrong thing to say. A few of the students had to bite their hands to stop from laughing. I recommend you stay awake while I teach, Mr. Bailey, Mrs. Peters threatened. Connor had never seen anyone squint their eyes so tight without shutting them before. Unless you know about fairy tales to teach this lesson yourself, she added. I probably do, Connor said. Once again, he spoke without thinking. I mean, I know a lot about this stuff, that's all. Oh, really? Mrs. Peters never backed down from a challenge, and every student's worst nightmare was that they'd be her challenger. All right, Mr. Bailey, if you're so knowledgeable, answer this question. Connor gulped. In the original tale of Sleeping Beauty, how many years does the princess sleep before she is awoken by true love's first kiss? Mrs. Peters asked, studying his face. All eyes were on him, impatiently waiting for the slightest indication that he didn't know the answer. But fortunately for Connor, he did. 100, Connor answered. Sleeping Beauty slept for 100 years. That's why the castle grounds were covered in vines and stuff. Because the curse affected everyone in the kingdom, and there was no one to garden. Mrs. Peters didn't know what to say or do. She frowned at him, immensely surprised. This was the first time he had ever gotten correct when she'd put him on the spot, and she certainly hadn't expected it. Try to stay conscious, Mr. Bailey. Lucky for you, I used my last attention slip this morning, but I can always request more, Miss Peters said, and promptly walked to the front of the classroom to continue her lesson. Connor sighed with relief, and the red drained from his face. His eyes met his sister's. Even she was surprised he'd gotten that answer right. Alex hadn't expected Connor to remember any fairy tales. Now, class, I want you to all get out your literature books. Now turn to page 170 and read Little Red Riding Hood quietly to yourself, Miss Peters instructed. The students did as they were told. Connor made himself as comfortable as possible in his desk and began reading. The story and the pictures and the characters were all so familiar to him.
Thanks for tuning in.